My brothers and sisters, may the Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, offer no resistance to one who is evil. When someone strikes you on your right cheek, turn the other cheek to them as well. If anyone wants to go to law with you over your tunic, hand him your cloak as well. Should anyone press you into service for 1 mile, go with him for 2 miles. Give to the one who asks of you, and do not turn your back on the one who wants to borrow." The Gospel of the Lord. We tend to draw conclusions as we look at the Old Testament and the New Testament traditions. In the case of the Old Testament, we're very quick to think that it's filled with all sorts of signs of penalties and commandments and rules and laws, and doesn't seem to have much mercy incorporated into it. At the same time, as we look at the New Testament, we tend to see it as very much a message of mercy and of compassion. And yet, if we look below the surface, we see that in both instances, there's also some other elements that are operative. In the Old Testament tradition, there is kind of woven into the Mosaic Code and to the various laws and commandments the Israelites were to follow many guidelines and guideposts that kind of assured a more healthy understanding of relationship. It is in Deuteronomy that we're told one should love one's neighbor as oneself, and that therefore you do not automatically assume everyone is your enemy. And even the concept of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, which Jesus alludes to today in this account from Matthew, bespeaks a kind of a controlled retaliation, that you don't, when somebody does something against you, pay them back by giving double to them what they gave to you. You end up retaliating, if you're going to retaliate, to the same degree that it's happened to you. So, say for example, they broke your ox cart. Well, you might be able to break their ox cart, but it doesn't mean you go and you kill their ox. You end up being kind of assured and balanced as to what you do. Especially, we've been seeing this last week in this chapter 5 of Matthew's account, that Jesus takes many of these rules from the Old Testament and really does raise the bar on them and challenges us to go a step further. And we see that again today when he talks about, through images, how we should go the extra mile, literally. If you're asked for 1 mile, take 2 miles. If they go and they strike you on one cheek, turn and give them the other cheek as well. And all of this, of course, is not to bespeak a kind of a passivity and being kind of cowardly. He's suggesting rather that we kind of change the way people think and the attitudes and approaches to life and custom. And that slowly but surely, in the process of doing that, perhaps all those other feelings on the part of other people will change as well. It's easy for us to try to get even. We all do it kind of in subtle ways sometimes. And as we're growing up as little kids, we do it with the kids that we play with. And as we grow older, we become much more sophisticated in it, but we still sometimes fall prey to that same thing. And so Jesus is suggesting to each of us today to really look at how we react and respond to people around us. Are we willing to take the extra step in order to ensure that there is a change in attitude and approach and climate that will never happen unless somebody begins to do it themselves?